Well, welcome back. Examination is never a true test of knowledge, but when one wants to move from a particular educational level to another, it is a necessary thing to do. The 2019 Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, Jamb Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination, UTME, has come and gone, but without many logistics and technical loopholes. And today we'll be considering the topic 2019 Jamb and 2019 UTME examinations. And we have some guests here in the studio who will help us with this topic today. Let's really x-ray and know what actually is the problem. While we are having this problem with Jamb, we have Professor Ifani Ezako, Professor of Philosophy, Paul University, Oka. You're welcome to the show.
Thank you, Anambra.
We also have Dr. Anselm Nweke, lecturer, Chukwuemeka Odumegwu, Jukwu University, Igbariam. You're also welcome.
Good morning, viewers.
All right, Prof, I think we'll start with you. Let's trace from the time, Jan.
Why from me?
I said, let's start with you.
It's important we start from you.
You are the prof here.
As the oldest person.
No, you are a professor.
Maybe because when you started the education,
we didn't take Jamb.
You didn't take
Okay,
Jamb. So we want to know.
I didn't take Jamb.
Okay.
We know you didn't take Jamb.
Okay, you didn't take Jamb, but then you knew when they started.
Yes.
Yes. So we want you to like give an assessment from then till now. How will you assess the activities of Jamb?
The activities of Jamb from the time you started is declining every year. It's declining in content, in value, and then in quality selection of candidates. It's declining. Because every year, you see imposters going to take exams for a particular candidate or candidates. Every year, you see sometimes people who are not greatly qualified to be there, but they want to go to the university. Not just going to university to acquire knowledge, but just to go in there for the sake of going to the university. They feel that once you are a graduate, you have earned everything of prestige in the world of academics. So, okay, go ahead.
What probably could have led to such mindsets? Because, like you rightly said, during your time, yes, there was nothing like Jamb.
Yes.
And I know, because, of course, I know my father always used to tell me how education is during their days. Yes. And I know it was quality. It was something that made people know what they want to do, know what they want to achieve. That's not the case now, because you said something about the students, not because they want to study, not because they really want to be educated, but just for the sake of going there. What could have prompted such mindset in our day-to-day activities with the present crop of human beings, the students we have?
I think what must have led to that is our government lay a lot of emphasis on certificates, not on what the person has achieved. You discover that somebody who has first class and one who has second class lower division cannot be competing. They will first of all take first class. But I'm sorry to say it, there are a lot of people who have got that first class and are very useful people. During our own time, somebody is making first class, we see the person as a selfish person.
Why?
Because one who made it used to hide necessary textbooks. He would just go to the library, take book in philosophy, go to geography and deposit it. The following day, he will come back. He would go to geography and pick that book to read alone. And they can never share their knowledge with any other person because you can outweigh them in scoring. But this time, it's a useless thing. They don't even hide any textbook. They don't even know where they can get a textbook in the library. But they only come out and then swagger about, say, well, I'm in the university. But you see, the university students during our own time used to dress very well. But this time, they just wear any nonsense. and then, what do you call it? This sagging. And one time you put on ties, suit, dress well, people will see you and respect you.
And you are proud to be.
Yeah, yes.
All right, we are talking about Jamb and 2019 UTME examinations. Let's come to you, Doctor. We know that the examination has come and gone, and people are yet to see their results. I mean, you write exams for you to know your fate, to know whether you are entering a higher institution and all that. But look at it now. What do you think is the cause of this? Is it that they didn't prepare well, Jamb as a body, they didn't prepare well, or what do you think is the case here?
Well, to me, I will look at it, the issue of lack of preparedness, adequate preparation. When the Jamb started, registration of Jamb, this 2019, they started around January 10th and ended April 11th. Then the exam, March 15th. Yes. The exam come up on April 11th to 16th. So, and you see, there's one thing I believe in. When you are migrating to another level, you have to do adequate preparation for that migration. For instance, Jamb initially was meant for universities. By 1978, it was established or founded for universities. Then later, about a few years ago, they now call it Unified Tertiary Examination, including Polytechnic, and College of Education, bringing more responsibilities to themselves without adequate preparation for that migration. Another migration is the issue of from pen on paper to CBT, computer-based exam. Now you ask yourself, these centers, how adequate are they prepared for this exam? Light, is it constant power? Because the moment you log in, you start counting. The power may fail midway. And also, you look at some of the students that are in rural areas. Have they been exposed to computer? How often do you teach them computer? They will come, they don't know even how to log in. Before they reach time, the computer will shut down. Time is up. So what I'm saying is that lack of adequate preparation. And also, we expect that exams, what more especially when it is CBT, will come out 2 or 3 days after the examination. But now it's taking long. So they are the best position to tell us why this long delay in the release of the results.
Now, this actually brings me to my next question when you talk about adequate preparation. Now, we know before now, it used to be when you write Jamb examination, it's for the university, it's not joined with the Polytechnic, the colleges of education and stuff, and it wasn't as if it was perfect. Why? What is responsible? Why do you think the board of Jamb, that's the committee or the ministry, people involved in this Jamb examination, what do you think was the reason why they probably had to add other schools, in terms of the Polytechnic, the Monotechnics, and the Light College of Education, to what they probably have not even gotten perfect when it was just a university?
To me, what they say, the reason why they added them, is to make sure that there is a uniform and level playground for all the students, candidates, so that you apply one university, one Polytechnic, one College of Education, one Monotechnic, and also to avoid the issue of getting double admission. You get admission here in Unizik, probably another university will give you admission, and by then, those who should change in some who may get that opportunity. So you having 2 opportunities, somebody is missing.
Okay.
I follow you.
So, has that been able to solve the problems and the challenges facing Jamb?
It has not even. Because if Jamb had concentrated on universities alone, that would give them the enough preparation, the enough materials, even question, and the time to release the result. But this time, Polytechnics, Monotechnics, and colleges of education are just lumped together. And even the standard, the score match for people to move, either to Polytechnic, Monotechnic, and the College of Education. You just press them down, which means inferiorizing those courses and then putting up the universities. Why that? Let university be university. After all, they've been discriminating. University has been discriminating against polytechnics. Why do you jam them together? Set a panel, a group, a commission that will be setting questions for this. It wouldn't. They can take the exams 1 week or the other, so that any person who wants to take a Jamb for university can do that. But now they want to have more food to eat.
Okay. All right, let's talk about the recent examination that the results have not been released. We know that they came up and said that there were a lot of malpractices and double registration and all that. And this is not the first time the Jamb is conducting CBT examination. So are they telling us that all those years there has not been malpractices, or is it just now that they've decided to tackle it?
Okay, sorry.
Okay, doctor, I'm talking to you.
There have been cases of malpractice, but probably this year's own is very glaring. When you see the issue of people coming to write even for some other persons, and also some centers not starting in time, and this has been an examination, and you see people coming with their phones, sending results.
We're talking about writing for some other people. I thought it was biometrics.
That's at times they do manipulate it. How sure are you at the time? Even the election you do, at times they can your fingerprint may disappoint, and they say, okay, manual registration, manual accreditation and card registration is possible everywhere. So
okay.
Now, and also there are two measures of identifying them. I find biometric. Okay, also then at times they use ID card or the screw. Identifying them. Then the issue of phones, sending results. Some people will be out there. I caught one with phone.
Oh, you were part of the invigilators.
No, not this time. That was last year. Okay. After that, I stopped invigilating Jamb. Okay. So then I called a person with phone, and the answer from A number 1, this B, C, D. So now you have to also question the issue of Jamb. How do these people got these questions before the examination? And exactly what was asked is what was the answer.
What are the major factors that contribute to this malpractices that keep on coming every time they write Jamb and other examinations right here in Nigeria?
It's issue of corruption. Corruption is very endemic. And because of poverty and also the quest to acquire wealth. One, the Jamb itself, like what Prof has said, them bringing in together monotechnic, polytechnic is issue of making more money. They want more candidates to increase their revenue. I follow you. Now also, those that are working there are also looking for their own personal pockets, how to enrich their personal pocket, apart from that of Jamb, even in WAEC. So based on that, they sell these questions. This is done by somebody. I follow. And that person that is there, you somehow have one relative or the other. And there's something you should also understand. Here in Nigeria, when you occupy a very sensitive position, you see your relative calling you, trying to implicate you in one thing or the other. If you refuse to be implicated, they say you're a very bad person.
Okay, let's pause there. Just to let you know that this is quite participatory. The numbers are on your screen for you to join in a conversation this morning. It's Jamb and the 2019 UTME examinations. And I know that a lot of youths out there are home probably right now still expecting to see their UTME results, which has overstayed or over-delayed. And a lot of people are beginning to ask questions. What is happening? Why don't we have our results? Why don't we know our fate? Why don't we know where we are headed next? Let me come to you, Professor. Looking at the whole challenges of Jamb and UTME examination, we'll talk about, doctor said the board wants more money. And that's why they keep adding this, adding that, adding the other one. Let's look at the education sector in Nigeria. Where did we get it wrong?
From the beginning. No, not just from the beginning, but the middle. When people started talking more of, I mentioned earlier, certification. If you have certificate, you say, I made this, I have that. But I think I warned some time ago, if you want to pick a candidate for job, conduct real interview to know what the person has, not the certificate. Because certificate, I know somebody, somebody who went around getting people to write a PhD work for them. PhD. And that person was charged 200,000 naira. He paid. But after sending in a literature review, that man took the literature review, that is the Oga. He didn't send back that literature review and didn't refund the 200,000 naira. And the person collapsed in writing his PhD. Till today, he has just abandoned it. So what I feel the time here now, in Nigeria, I don't know whether it happens in other countries, but in Nigeria, people or somebody who you know cannot even pick up and write one single good sentence, you see him bragging. So the time now is, let me get somebody. That's why Jamb is collapsing. Somebody to write for me. Then I go to eat the food.
Who are we to blame? Is it the lecturers that will see such things and still condone? Or
No, it's not the lecturer. The lecturer has his work to deliver. The Jamb officials are responsible. If they don't do what they should do, they'll be impostors. People can now come in and write for somebody. They can change their pictures, their ID cards. And then, but in the post UNT, this thing, what do you call it? They will now withdraw the ID so as to make the candidate appear as the person. But even there again, there is corruption. So there is this cancer, corruption cancer in Nigeria. Until that cancer is wiped out, we shall start to get something of value to man.
This year's Jamb examination witnessed over 100 students were arrested, for examination malpractice. We've been talking about.
They're still arrested.
They're still arresting. Well, what should be done to the students? One, what should be done finally to curb this? Because I'm not trying to say the Western countries are perfect, but to a very large extent, the way the education sector is run, gives this flexibility to students where they can actually come to probably, show what they've got. So what should be done to the students that probably have been arrested for examination malpractice, and what should be done to nip this particular, act in the board? Okay,
but before you answer that question, let's just go out to the street and know what people have to say about this year's UTME examinations. We'll be right back.
Verification of students that took the exam. I want to commend Jamb, but they ought to have started this earlier than now. A lot of malpractices have been going on in Jamb examination. Why now? But they say, better late than never. Let them do it and let them be transparent.
I don't understand this year's Jamb, to be candid, and the fact that they are saying there are malpractices and some centers will be shut down. For me, my personal opinion, if Jamb can create a time where we can actually redo this exam, do it again, they can bring more officials to come and officiate and make sure that everything is going well without any malpractices.
I would say that the Jamb is slowing down in their system of working, and I would say that there is a lot of inability to bring out the student results. Their system now is no longer as it's supposed to be. But it will only bring more frustration to the younger ones who want to enroll in the Jamb admission stuff.
It's actually making the students not to have hope of what to do about their education again. The delay and everything is making them not to have that trust in the educational system again.
All right, you're welcome back. Prof, I guess you heard what people said about this year's UTME examinations. What's your reaction?
The arrest, if they mean what they want to do by arresting, but are they sure that those people arrested are the real culprits? That's one of the things. And then what are the people who release, who sneak out questions for Jamb? Who are they? That's one question I wanted to ask myself. Who is the person who says that question? The Jamb questions. Who says it or said them? What of the disposer? How is it that these questions get out to the people? And sometimes you may discover that it may not be the actual person on top. It might be one of the sub-officers in the Jamb office.
But the truth is, this thing, like you said, now, those questions you've just asked can be done by one person. Probably there's some other people in the house who knows about this plan. Now, 3 of us are working in Jamb, and I probably want to do that release. I probably will tell you that, nah, what I want to do, I'm with this more money. I tell you, we understand, we know. So it's not something one person do. So how? I mean, what should be done? That's my question. To nip this in the bud, because even those people you talk about from the top, I feel somehow they have an idea of what's going on beneath.
I believe they have, because they may be having some shares out of the whole loot. I call it looting, because they will loot the pockets of these candidates and have them in their own money, in their pockets, to show that they are something. And they will pretend innocent. They become saints and start to arrest those people they sold the questions to.
All right, Doctor, do you believe that this loophole or the leakages come from staff of Jamb?
There's no doubt about it.
Okay.
Because the staff are the people that says the question. But what I'm thinking, if I would suggest, is that, one thing with them is that every Jamb, they will make a budget. This stuff you see, they will tell you this year's Jamb, I will make 1 naira, I will make 2 naira. They're not talking about their salary. And they will strategize on how to make this money. Either one, selling of these questions. I follow you. Now, what I think they should do is issue of moderation, to moderate the questions. Give these questions to many professors to set. If you are to ask
who are sincere.
If you are to ask 100 questions, give it to about 100 professors. Collect the questions. Yes. Then one person on his own will begin to select. Good. Tick, so that it becomes a single person, a sole person doing the job, so that when it leaks, you can hold this man responsible. You are the person that is in charge of chemistry. You are the person in charge of biology. The person in charge of government. Are you following? But when you say committee to handle them and corrupt and do these things, you cannot hold any person responsible. And these are the committees that are leaking these papers. Another area I want to comment is that the issue of Prof said about certification. Yes, everybody mustn't go to university. But in Nigeria here, every person is forcing his child to go to university. Whether the child wants this or not. The child will fail WAEC, you go to special center. You get somebody to write Jamb, get somebody, push him to the university. And saying that.
So who are you blaming now? Are you blaming the parents?
The parents, everybody.
So what happens? Yes, what happens to the society, the economy that has made it look as if without your certificate you won't eat?
That's what Prof has just said, certification. We don't just depend on certificate. We have to look for other ways of empowering ourselves. We are talking of entrepreneurship now. I'm following. People will find something to do. If you're not that educated, intelligent to go into university, then these people that manufacture cars, phones, are you sure they are graduates? The phones we are using, those things, are you sure those people are graduates? They are not. You go into science. Some of the people that even graduate, some of them don't even do better in practical works. I follow. Those who perform better in the practical works are those who are not even higher secondary school.
Now, this is your own opinion.
Yes.
We know that the university till now discriminates against polytechnics. Now, this is your opinion that everybody shouldn't go to school. But it's not always the case in Nigeria. In fact, people who actually have gone to school, there's this atom of racism in them. Let me use the word racism. He didn't go to school. Be careful with him. Don't worry. This one went. Let's manage. The devil you know is better than the angel you don't know. I don't know if you're getting the gist. Now, a lot of people, stakeholders, have actually voiced their concern that Jamb made a lot of money through the sale of Jamb Farm, and yet they couldn't conduct a proper and successful Jamb examination. What's your thought on that?
Remember, it was, I think last year, Jamb returned some money to the federal government. And the federal government was praising Jamb for making gains. Why the gains? Jamb is not an enterprising group of people. That is, they are not there to make money. It is to lead people to have knowledge. But they return some money to the federal government, and federal government is praising them. What will they do? They will go back to continue with the corruption. If they can now stop, say, this is the budget, give them money, they will go about planning how to use that money and make students have good admission, good knowledge to get admission. As my colleague mentioned, that parents are responsible for some of these exercises. Parents will go and pay for somebody, for the child. I remember a family, the father, a professor.
Let's take it up from there. Hello, good morning. We lost that. Just keep the calls coming. We want to hear what you have to say, Prof.
The father, a professor, mother, a professor. They send the child to university. Parents are professors. And this boy never entered the class. One day I was asking, why don't you enter? Your father is this. The boy said, sir, will everybody go to university? That's the question.
All right, let's go there. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning. Your name and location.
My name is Sarah.
Sarah, where's Sarah calling us from?
Oh. Hello? Oh, she's no longer there.
All right, Sarah, please try to call us back.
So this boy, after first year, he dropped. He didn't continue. Everybody, like my friend said, everybody must not go to university. We have a lot of things to do. In fact, yesterday I was proposing some ideas for educational system in Nigeria. The primary sector, the secondary, sub-secondary sector, and then the upper sector, where you can now have many established technical schools, not polytechnics, technical schools. I see a boy, about 10 years, was manipulating all these bad batteries and so on, building something. If you capture that person in a middle-class secondary school, the boy will improve. What are these masons? I have a friend, only standard 6, but if you see where he designed the house and so on, you marvel. Why? He is working according to his gift.
Okay. This is quite amazing. Working according to his gift. But away from the fact that we know that your talent, your gift will make way for you. Here in Nigeria, has that been the case? Because you just mentioned about the boy of 10 years doing some kind of craft work with his hand, someone messing, doing some kind of... Have the government been able to encourage people who's got this talent to do something away from the fact that people go to the university to study?
Government does not do so. Government has no interest in actual progress of this country.
So why would these same people who's got this talent, what hope do they have to probably continue towing in that line? And knowing fully well that in Nigeria, without your BSc, without your master's, without the PhD, you are not recognized. You don't get anything tangible. Where do we go from here?
The issue, not the issue of BSc now. Even the BSc you're talking about, we have thousands and millions of them without job. Driving keke without job. So so that's what Prof is saying. You mustn't go into university. He's saying if you have a design for the government where you have to accommodate people based on what they want to do, I will follow him. That's also education. You educate them, train them that technology in that aspect of manufacturing things, doing this and doing, and they will graduate in that area. Not university graduate, they graduate.
that does that. It's not only
Yes,
government.
yes,
It's not left for government
So
alone.
what also this kind of
Educational system.
education system? Then also the government should give the individual the opportunity to participate in development of the country, so that this economy will thrive. The issue of mono economy, we have mono economy, oil, outside oil, nothing again. So.
Let's quickly talk about this. According to the timetable, this year's Jamb, some WAEC students, they were expected to write a particular subject, animal husbandry. On Thursday, April 11th, that the Jamb started, were also expected to write their UTME that day. What exactly is this controversy between Jamb and WAEC? And such students who were caught in this web, where do they go from here?
Is that the issue of what we're talking about, adequate preparation? Jamb and WAEC should have their timetable early enough, so that, and they would reconcile the timetable so that we don't have clash. We don't normally, we have a WAEC is around May, June. First, May, June.
Now, because of NACO, they have to accommodate NACO. They shifted it forward. So
they should consult Jamb. These are institutions based here in Nigeria. They're not abroad. So this issue of clash shouldn't have occurred.
All right, away from that, we are still talking about the that's the Jamb examination that just happened this 2019. And you said that one of the things that causes malpractices is corruption, and then a leakage of questions from which is still corruption. And then some people also said that use of private computer centers one of the things that causes examination malpractice. So what are we advising Jamb to do so that this will not reoccur again? Should we now push it over to the schools, the tertiary institutions, for them to organize, or if the tertiary institution that has centers, computer centers, for them to be organizing Jamb inside the schools instead of using a private-owned computer centers? We are talking about preparedness and all that.
All right, let's quickly take this call before you answer that question. Hello, good morning. All right, good.
So, taking Jamb examination outside the university is not proper. To me, it should be university. The university that has adequate computer, you use them. Select these universities and use them. Even if you spread the exam for a week or thereabout, but don't engage with these private individuals in writing Jamb. They can do other things for you, but not the issue of examination, because they are the people that are doing these malpractices. I follow you. There are people that have these private centers. They will tell you now that Jamb has employed me to do this exam for them. I follow you. Then some candidates will choose to write the exam in their own centers. I follow you. Those who write the exam, they will pass them. They will assist them. They will go. They will begin to campaign.
A miracle center.
Now, my question, Prof, do you think Jamb as a body have overstayed their welcome? That's one. Two, when we talk about the education structure in Nigeria, the system in Nigeria, and the way forward, probably ways that the people, the bad eggs that are in the ministry or the Jamb board, to pull them out and probably make it easier for students that when they get to write their examination, they write it without stress and trouble. Of course, you talked about the CBT, some students actually having issues with the CBT, lack of power supply and the likes, and it looks as if when the time is up, everybody stops, whether you have issues with your system or you don't have issues with your system. Now, the thing is, my question is, Jamb, do you think we should scrap it away and probably come up with an idea, a better idea, how students can probably get into the university to study?
If you remove Jamb from the whole system, you create more problems, because it means universities will be conducting the exams for entry into them. But let Jamb only handle university admission. Jamb, university admission. Another group to handle polytechnic and monotechnic. Another one for NCE. Then you will see separation of powers and influences. Each one will struggle to produce something that will now make them be seen as very much mature. And then this system of computer, very many people in rural areas, the students don't know anything about computer. They don't. We, what do you call us? No, not digital.
Generation.
Our own generation. If we find it difficult to learn all these modern computer systems, we find it difficult. But we can do some reasoning. People who are in the village, you discover that they can make use of reason in the village, but they cannot manipulate computer. Well, we force all of them to go into computer in the exams. You will see.
Most of these people that are in rural communities, they handle phones, they use phones. So why can't they? We cannot start going back. We are moving forward.
We are not saying going back. We have to make computer education available in those villages.
Hello,
And
good morning.
tutors.
Okay.
And tutors.
Good morning. What's your name and your location?
My name is Sarah.
Sarah, from where? Okay, you called back.
I'm calling from Water.
All right, Sarah, go ahead.
From Water.
Go ahead.
I love your program.
Thank
What I
you.
want to say is that the society made so much emphasis on education. Even though you don't want to go to school, see it as an opportunity for an hierarchical achievement. In order to curb this, there should be a public enlightenment in the secondary education and establish another sector for tertiary institutions based on skills, or probably call it entrepreneurship university.
Okay.
Not just writing jams to go to
That's
university.
technical.
So
Okay.
this is just my thought.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Yes.
Thank you
So,
so much.
Doctor, you were saying something.
Okay. I think we are just talking about on the way forward.
Yes,
Yes.
because time is really not our friend, what would you advise Jamb,
Jam and
the
government.
students, the government, stakeholders, what are your words to them to probably make Jamb much more attractive, and one can trust in Jamb in terms of writing the exam, writing it without stress, and getting admission into the
Good.
university?
One of the first things I would suggest is the issue of redeployment of staff of Jamb who have overstayed more than 5 years. Any staff at Jamb that stayed more than 5 years should be redeployed to another area. So you recruit new breed. I follow you. Who does not have, who does not know knowledge of these loopholes. When you
The
do this,
pranks.
yes, when you do deployment, the new intake now will know exactly that.
And you think they will not learn the pranks again?
Before they will learn it, you will report them
Okay, you
again.
will.
You check
And
them
are you in
again.
support of creating another board for polytechnics and monotechnics? And
I'm in support of that. Let them face university squarely and
Okay.
conduct exam there perfectly.
All right, your final words, Prof.
That is, the government must separate Paul and the Barnabas.
Paul and Barnabas.
Yes.
Okay, the Paul is
That
the
is-
university, Barnabas is monotechnics,
Yes,
polytechnics,
yes.
and colleges of education. All right, thank you so much, Professor Ifeanyi Ezako, Professor of Philosophy, Paul University. Okay, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And also Dr. Anselm Nweke, lecturer at Chukwemeka Odumegwu University, Wariam. Thank you also for coming.
Thank you.
And thank you also, our wonderful people that watched today. I know you've learned one or two things on today's topic. Thank you so much for being with us today. My name is Chidimma Oranwa. Join us again tomorrow for another edition. And from my colleague,
Yes, I'm a very good night. It's nice that knowing you're there, we're here, and somehow we want to believe you've learned something today. Well, tomorrow is another day. And just to let you know, at 9 o'clock will be time for this morning news, and Sports Today will be coming at 15 past 9. Many thanks for joining us. Good morning.